So starting out, just wanted to say thank you. Wanted to just take a minute and say that because I know you've been going at it all week.
Yeah,
So I appreciate you taking some time and sitting down with me and helping promote it a little bit more. And um, I got 5 questions.
certainly.
I tried to basically combine a little bit of what I've seen you guys do this week with what I kind of promote on my YouTube channel a little bit because one thing I've learned throughout the week, while it's a police academy, there was a lot of like life skills
Yeah.
in general that were taught, and I think a lot of them go hand in hand with what I try to teach as well. Um, so starting out here, could you just kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what the training is that was offered throughout the week?
Sure. My name is Don Stewart. I'm a sergeant with the Michigan State Police Community Service Trooper Unit. Been with the agency, I'm working on my 28th year right now. The training that Colby's talking about is our Career Academy curriculum or Career Academy program that was started, believe it or not, over a cup of coffee between Dan Wood and myself. Dan Wood is the Criminal Justice Director down at the Monroe County Community College, so to put that in reference, where we're sitting right now is about 636 miles away from where this thing began.
That's awesome.
It started with two strangers that became friends, a defense lawyer of all things, and a police officer. So it just goes to show you that yin and yang have to exist and should exist because we're best of friends now. The Monroe Career Academy kicks off next week, so I'll be leaving here tonight to go down there and facilitate that. The whole curriculum structure is built on the individual, the student, while building the relationships that it takes to really become a first responder.
Mm-hmm.
But bigger than that, it's becoming a servant and becoming a, what would you say, just a real, I'm going to use the term self-actualized human being, in the fact that we are in it's a global community. It's a community or a village that is needed to make the whole thing work. So we built this thing back in 19, because Dan took over the criminal justice director position at the college. I became a community service trooper after 25 years on the road. I had no idea what I was doing. He had no idea what he was doing. But I was a football coach by nature.
Okay.
He not only has a background in law enforcement and in criminal law, but also paramedic, EMS, and fire. So we sat down, we put our coaching skills together, and we decided on a thing, on a topic of what would be fun, and really what do we wish we would have when we were growing up. And this is kind of how it started back in Monroe in 19. Of course, COVID hit, and that took a real piece out of it. So we didn't really actually kick off until this is our 4th year, so I would say 2001, right? 2, 3, 4. Actually, 2002 was our first one.
Okay.
We had 11 students. I think it was 11. We've grown since. Next week we're looking somewhere in the neighborhood of 23 to 25 students.
That's awesome.
It is. We currently now have approximately 13 students who have gone on into law enforcement careers over these 4 years, 4 of which are with our agency, the Michigan State Police, several with local agencies, a couple with defense.
Great ratio.
Yes, right? The better part of this is we're making good human beings, good people who will turn into good citizens, good moms and dads, good workers in their field.
Mm-hmm.
The whole premise behind this is to, first of all, know who you are. You've been given this opportunity to develop that in these skills, but also to be confident in who you are and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that the fact that we're not promoting the Michigan State Police, because we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are, but we're also promoting our local partnerships and our community partners that we partner with. But the biggest thing is we offer the opportunity, but it's really up to the student.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do, and how best can we facilitate the learning aperture that we're using to get you there, so that you are living your best life. So really, that's what the premise was on. Why we have a little bit of fun, a little bit of laughter, and we learn a little bit, and we build friendships that'll last forever, which you saw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have to show off a little bit here.
You
already
off.
know. Gotta show the camera here. This is a challenge coin, and I'll pass it over to you in a minute here.
Certainly.
But this is the front of the challenge coin here, and the back of the challenge coin. Very huge honor to receive this week, and I know the students during their graduation also got some GCC themed.
They did.
So,
They
could
did.
you kind of discuss the importance and the tradition of these coins?
I will, absolutely. So the challenge coin was actually built and created by our United States military way back during the World Wars. World War II, I believe, specifically, it actually saved 2 pilots because they got shot down. They walked up to a base, and the only way that they were recognized is the fact they pulled out their challenge. They're like, whoa, 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 here's this. But what a challenge coins represents is being part of something, being part of a group bigger than yourself, being part of a family. Being part of that means you got to have an ownership piece. You got to have something that denotes I belong to this tribe, I belong to this group, I belong to these people. These are my people. Those people are me. And so what this represents is on the front we have our traditional Michigan State Police shield with our motto of a proud tradition of service. It's our ethos, right? And that's what we were trying to build in the kids is the reason, the being.
Absolutely.
It's a proud tradition of service through excellence, integrity, and courtesy. That's our motto. And then on the back, of course, what you saw was the silhouette of the police officer holding the hands of the 2 children within the circle of our name or the title of our unit, which is our Community Service Trooper Unit. But on the bottom is the bigger piece, and it says our reason why. And our reason why is very simple: is we're the heartbeat of the Michigan State Police. We got out of the relationship building business back in the 2000s, early 2000s, and we kind of lost that. And that's where I believe personally we're starting to see the result of that, where there's this distrust, and we're believing what we see on the internet. And I don't blame the media for what you hear that a lot. Blame the media. But if we're not out there filling the gap with the relationship, and Kobe, like we're meeting and we're talking, then you're gonna believe anything, right? You're not gonna believe it. You're just gonna believe what you hear. And so that's what this represents as the heartbeat, because nobody thinks about their heartbeat, right? The only time they think about their heartbeat is when it ain't beat, and when there's problems where you feel like a heart attack or something coming on. That's what it is that we're gonna continue this heartbeat. We started in 1917, and the troops they're very special to me, right? Michigan State Police is very special to me. However, the Michigan State Police isn't me. And what I mean by that is I don't let it define who I am. I'm me, and it gives me the opportunity, and I define that uniform, hopefully to bring honor and pride to everybody that served before me, everybody that's serving now, all my FTOs and all my friends, and everybody that poured so much into me today, and then to bring honor to those who are going to serve after me, like these kids you saw, right? So they can look back and they're like, you know what? Don did it right. Right? He did it right. And so that's what this represents. And really, that's what you represented when you welcomed us in. You welcomed us in like family. We weren't strangers. We weren't new people. We were family. Like, come on in, make yourself at home. House is yours. Don't tear it up. Your mom doesn't work here, kind of thing. But I'm here to help you out. And that's why you were given this, because you're part of this tribe. You're part of this family. You're part of all this. And you can take this with you wherever you go. And when somebody asks, you're like, yeah, I know who I belong to. Right? So there you go.
That's one thing too. Going back to it, you were talking about just like us sitting down and having this conversation right now, and me kind of welcoming you guys in as family. Well, I'll be the first to say I am not against or not completely for, but I do have kind of different thoughts about policing. And I think that's one thing too, not even just outside of or just in policing, but outside of it as well. I think it's important to note things that could improve, whether that's the college here or my YouTube, my business. I think it's important to call out problems. But one thing that I really learned this week, especially keeping that open mind, welcoming you guys in, joining you, having you sit down and take the time to talk to me and do this kind of stuff. I've learned a lot more like behind the scenes that you really don't see on said media, etc. And really, it was really exciting to kind of see that and get a deeper understanding of that. So again, thank you for that.
You're very welcome. No, it was our pleasure to do that, and it was. And again, you made us feel right at home.
So going to our next question here, kind of a fun one. can you share a memorable success story or an example of a recruit who significantly grew and developed during their time at the academy?
At the career academies?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot, and I'll tell you, we can talk right now about one recruit that is really specific to the Go Give It Academy, right? And what I mean by that is, so right now we're running 4 academies around the state this year. We've got one in Monroe, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got Go Give It right here at Go Give It Community College. We'll have one in Alpena, and then Northwood University is hosting one in the 3rd district, what we call our 3rd district. But to be specific here, I can pick 2, Logan Dishaw and of course Chloe Snell. They started last year when they were 6, and I'll really talk about them because of their growth in that. And currently right now there's 2 cadets serving over at the Wakefield Post who started here. These 2 are really something, and they're really special to us because their stories. And I don't want to go too much into their stories, but they do have a pretty good story. And they came from homes, I guess, what would you say, Logan, they're not, like, Chloe's was I think pro-police, her mom is just a gem, but Logan's family, like so many, had a misunderstanding of what policing was, and they were real apprehensive, an apprehension of, what is this about? What is this? And Logan was a little bit shy and a little bit introverted. And so last year when Trooper Backhausen and I, just one of my very dear friends, in the whole world, just a lovable guy, when we met him and Chloe, here you have these 2 young 15, 16-year-old kids, 2 of 6, they're in their rooms and they're all wide-eyed. Well, we did the same with them that you saw. We invited them to dinner, they were with us, we hung out, the group hung out, and they did that, and it really gave them a purpose, because what Logan said that was very important is, like, I don't know that I want to be a police officer, but I know what I don't want to be now. And if we can do that, with everything that's going on in the world and everything that you see out there that is negative, where bad decisions are being made, right? Because there weren't the opportunities, and that's the one thing that I think we forget so much about is we get hung up on good guy, bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? Good girl, bad girl. And it's not a labeling. Everybody loves to put tags on stuff, but it's not labeling. It's just, that's what we grew up with.
Yeah.
So it's like, gotta get the bad guy. Well, something that I've learned being in this role as a community service trooper is good guy, bad guys, I'm not sure they really exist. What they are people who made bad decisions because their friends or their people, and you heard me speak a little bit about it, maybe you did because you were running pretty good, so maybe not. But I talked about 6 degrees of deviation. And I call it that, and it's a biblically based philosophy that I've adopted with Samson and Delilah. And if you look the story up, it's really something. But here you have the strongest guy in the world. Like, we just ran Mount Zion today, right? Up and down, and did a whole mess of push-ups, whole bunch of sit-ups, and we really learned something about ourselves. And that's the graduation run. But bigger than that, you got this big, strong cat, right? He walks over a marathon 4 times to see this young lady who he's kind of smitten with. He's got a little bit of a love thing going. And he was told not to. He's like, he was told bad things are going to happen. And whether you're a believer in the Christian faith or not, it's a great philosophical story because he had a lot of people that were just ego building and just on his, what would you say? Yes, man. Right? Yes, man. Yeah. Where were the people there to say, hey, my man, this isn't a good idea. Like, you've been told, like, you should not do it. 6 degrees, right? Just shift his walk 6 degrees. It was over a marathon, right? Over a marathon one way, so that's 53 miles roughly going back and forth. But we just ran 2.
Yeah.
That was a long way.
Very much.
If somebody shifts him to 6 degrees, he never gets there. Just by giving him the opportunity to make that good decision. And that's really the whole point, is giving these kids that opportunity to make those good decisions. It's not good guy, bad guy anymore. It's not good girl, bad girl. It's how about a good decision? Here's a good decision. Now, if you choose wrong and you choose a bad decision, we deal with that decision now. And it's not, hey, you made this bad decision, which is coupled with a bazillion more because, like I tell these guys during our workouts, is what success is? That's just a million failures leading up to that one success. Hey, I almost got there. Hey, I almost got there. Hey, I got there. Hey, I got there. Well, we're all there.
Yeah.
and it just takes that little helping hand to get up, and that's kind of what the back of the challenge plate represents, right? You put an arm around your shoulder, boot your fanny, either way, we're here to help you out. So, I really believe that.
And I think that goes a lot with my channel here too, especially as you know, I'm going to be leaving here in 2 weeks. And part of it is I'm going to run my own business, live as a nomad again. And this is technically the 3rd time I'm doing this now. The first time I lived in a van, just trying it out, fell in love with it, knew, okay, I want to do something more with this. Learned photography, learned YouTube, stuff like this, bringing awareness, spreading the word, other entertainment stuff, whatever it may be. But then on the flip side, the second time I went out, I had a school bus. Thought I knew my stuff, very quickly learned a hard lesson, broke down, long story short, basically every single thing that could go wrong went wrong in the worst way possible. And ultimately, being very short on cash, I ended up taking this job here. It was a great opportunity, don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it. But now I'm going back out on the road again, have a little bit of PTSD from that failure last time. But just like you said, it's that constant, you're trying, you learn from those failures, and every time you try again, you do a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Until you finally get it. So, another thing I'm constantly sharing on my channel here, actually tattooed on my arm, I think you heard me talking about that earlier, was the seek discomfort phrase. And I know throughout the week you were mentioning getting outside of your comfort zone all the time. Could you share some instances where the recruits were doing this and why it's such a crucial part of their training?
So it's all about experiences, and it's all about just the learning phase. The first area of discomfort that they faced was just saying yeah and coming here. Yeah, I'll do it. Yes, I'll do it. Some of these teenagers, these kids, traveled over 2 hours to get here. 2.5 hours from Wisconsin, 2.5 hours the other way in Michigan, the east side, and that's a big commitment.
Very much.
Right, that's a commitment. That is something that they are actually dedicated to making. So that's the first area of discomfort. Is what, I don't know what's on the other side of that door, but I'm darn well going to find out. So I'm going to bury the fear. I'm going to go over there and get the apprehension out of the way. That was the first thing. Then meet their new classmates. Right? The other recruits here, that's always a big discomfort. You don't know, am I accepted, am I not, am I going to find a friend, am I not, am I going to fit in? And then of course, they start meeting these troops, right? And of course, you had Trooper Bellinger, who, that's just easy to just be endeared with, right? Great human being, good people. Trooper Bassanisi, same way, just a lovely, lovely man, just great dude. Jerry Backhausen, or Trooper Backhausen, who everybody loves Jerry because he looks like a doggone teddy bear, acts the same way. And then you get this, you got Trooper Renault, who's kind of drill sergeant-esque, to say the least, And then here comes this little angry fella, bald head, and he's joking around and stuff, but you wake up to that monster in the morning, and that's tough. So there's discomfort there, and then every day was discomfort. Being told what to do and where to go and how to go, and in PT, the discomfort level was just a belief building that you can do anything you set your mind to. You darn well better set it to a point where it scares you to death, and you got to refocus and get a bigger dream. Your dream should scare you to death. They should just scare you just right out of your sanity zone. And I want these students, I want these kids to know, I want these young people to know that they are today. They're not tomorrow. They're the future of today.
Yep.
And believe in yourself and believe in what you want to do, believe in what you can do, and they get a doggone plan to get there, to make it happen. But the first thing is that belief, and they look in the mirror, and they're on the internet, and their friends are telling. It's just so tough for them today. It's so tough for them today that I want them to know they can do anything they want. And so if as you watch through the week, as we progress through PT, right? The adversity that they faced there and the challenges they faced there actually brought them together, because I liken it to, I call it the struggle bus, right? The struggle bus is real. And they all got on the struggle bus together, and the crazy bus driver was driving today. And we just push and push and push and push, and when they don't think they can do anymore, we give them a little push more, right? We give them a little more motivation to go. And the next thing they know, they're looking today at these photos, and you can see it. I can't believe we did all that in such a short period of time. You know, up to the point where one of our youngest recruits ever, or cadets, or our participants.
Mm-hmm.
Here he is in the back of the pack all week long, and we're coming down the mountain here, and right back here on Greenbush, he's running with me. He's not in the back anymore. He's right doggone up front. I think you videoed some of that with the drone, you know. And I'm like, you got this? He's like, I got this. And I'm like, and there you go. You know, that's taking that adversity and that challenge, and really adhering to it and believing in yourself to the point where, like we talked about up on top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Life's full of mountains and valleys.
Yep.
You know, and now you get a different perspective that the valley is, well, let's go check it out and see. There might be some reward in that valley as well, you know. So perspective driven, yeah. And that's kind of what you saw this week. It wasn't easy, you know, and we made it hard on purpose so that they knew that they could overcome it with each other, right? And you saw that they were just such cheerleaders for each other. And you know, the one thing, and I don't know if you were there when we did the baseline fitness test, but it was pointed out to me that as they were cheering each other on, they weren't calling like, "Come on, buddy, you're doing good, buddy." It was first names. There was an endearment. There was that moment, like I told them up on the top, right, or maybe it was down here, right? We get hung up in this. They're family now.
Yep.
They chose to be vulnerable and love one another.
Yep.
Right, and that's a choice. It's not a feeling. And they chose to love one another because of the opportunity that they had to come together. And they did come together. Hey, we're on this thing together. Let's row together. Let's push together. We got this together. And they became one unit. And you know that when they start calling each other names, it's not like, "Hey, guy, good for you." No, you know, it's come on, you know, come on, Chloe, come on, Hannah, you know, come on, Layla, come on, Phoenix, you know, come on, Logan. It was all one name, you know, and that's important, right? And you just got to take a moment after that. You know, of course, they do 600 push-ups, so the ugliest push-ups ever saw. But God bless them, they weren't quitting. Doggone it, they weren't quitting. And I had to take a moment. I got to tell you, I had to take a moment after today. I took a walk around, you know, and just sat around and enjoyed the afterglow of it all. Same thing the other day when they really pushed through the push-ups and they were cheering each other on. I just had to sit a minute. And I had to absorb that in to really say, you know what? This is the same opportunity that the Michigan State Police gave me. Right back in 1990, it was 95 when I started, you know, but if that opportunity is afforded to, you know, just some hillbilly kid out of Monroe, well, sure, doggone it, I want to give the opportunities that I know about or that I can help facilitate to these youngsters out here today, to give them that same feeling when they got to go take a walk and just absorb it and just let it sink in.
That is such an amazing feeling to have, and it's so special. And I actually, right as you kind of got back here tonight, I was watching some of my older YouTube videos and kind of doing a similar thing of just reliving those moments and thinking back to, I know, Machu Picchu, my last international trip. I remember just having a moment like that where it kind of hit me all of a sudden. I got a little bit emotional. And it was like, how amazing is this? How special is this? Nothing beats that.
You know, I heard something at my dad's funeral that I use a lot. I use a lot in a lot of trainings. I use a lot in a lot of lifting. I use a lot in a lot of places where I do guest lecturing. And it's very simple, right? And I started out with, and I've added a little bit to it, is, you know, you got your birth date over here, right, when you were born. Well, what did you have to do to get born? What input did you have to get born? You just went to the light. Well, then you got your due date here, you got your death date, right? This is going to be on the other side. Well, what do you got to do there? Really, ultimately, nothing, because we're all headed there. You just got to go to the light, right? Our life revolves around this little dash right in the middle. This is us. And this is everything that you are in the, you know, whatever years you have on this planet. And doggone it, you should want this dash, although it's only this long, right? Because that's all. Everybody's dash is this long. The years are different. It should look like some kindergartner or below grabbed a hold of the Sharpie marker and there was a fresh white wall over there, and they just doggone went to town. Right, and you've got this big, thick old black line or whatever color line, but you got that big, thick old dash full of everything you've ever done, because that's all we got, right? And I was talking to the kids today and this week about the recruiting slogan I use. videos, and it's simple because it's two signs. It's just two pictures, and this is all I've ever used. It's a picture of the top of Mount Everest blowing in the wind.
Okay.
And it's, for me, it's the MSP shield,
Okay.
right? In a career. Now, I'm not talking family, but in a career. And on it says, if you don't understand this picture, you just might not belong. And what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people will climb mountains in their life, but the real mountainous test, and everybody calls it the mountain, is Mount Everest. You know, but you can climb any mountain you want to be a mountain climber. Why is it that people spend a lot of time training, a lot of money, and really risk their lives because people die up there, right? To get to the top of a mountain where you can stay in the death zone, what are they on the mountain? 6 minutes, 9 minutes? That's all they can stay up there because first they got to climb down, they got to have oxygen. Two, if they take their glasses off, somewhere in that time frame their retinas burn up, right? They generally come down with some type of frostbite, they come down with some type of lung damage, they're changed physically. But spiritually they're also changed. And for 6 minutes to be higher than 747 flies and fly and actually be on top of the world. Well, for my career, that's what it felt like, right? And 28 years passed so doggone fast, it feels like 6 to 9 minutes. Well, that's all I have. And that's all we have is you have 6 to 9 minutes to live on top of the world and then it's over. Doggone it, live it, be
Absolutely.
it, and give it away, right? Give it away to that next generation. Give that away and give that ambition and that motivation away to somebody else and help them get there to experience that. That's living.
Yeah.
You know,
Very much so.
Yeah.
That's honestly one of my favorite parts of the job the last 3 years is getting to inspire other people and help them do exactly that. Kind of reflecting on that spirit of exploring new paths, whether it's careers or traveling or whatever it may be, and expanding one's horizons. Could you share some examples of how the recruits are encouraged to adapt to new situations a little bit?
Sure, they're introduced to new situations every day, you know. So as we go through, we're starting to change the perception and their thought processes, right? I have a baseline of what I think is right. Most of it revolves around this guy right here, you know, me.
Yeah.
It's got to be right for me. The whole change and the whole processing shift is we're taking that I mentality, turning it and putting it into a we mentality. What can I do for you? It's kind of like what I call the inverted, the inverted leadership, inverted pyramid, inverted whatever. But as you grow in your career, your education, your positioning in life, and you noticed it, right? And like I was calling it, there was no social construct in this group.
No.
It didn't matter. Nobody came in and said, okay, you go over there and I'll be over here and here's our, no. Everybody just kind of meshed. And again, right, the struggle is real, right? The adversity is there, but we turn that using the curriculum and all the tasks and the hard adventure that they're on, and we shift that focus from me to we. What can I do to make you better? And by making you better and making you successful and assisting you in your endeavors to complete whatever task it is, without you asking sometimes, that makes me better. And we call it life trophies. I call it life trophies, right? The little life trophies you put on your shelf, they're not real, it's all imaginary, but you put it up there and you're like, hey, I remember Kobe, right? I'll watch this YouTube channel one of these days, 10 years from now, you'll be bopping around somewhere, you know, and I'll be like, you know, I knew that guy. And you'll say something, do something, or conduct yourself in a way, I'll be like, I had an input in that, right? I see that, right? I see this here. You'll say something about climbing Mount Zion or whatever you experienced here over the next little bit. I had a part in that. And that's that inverted structure. And that's what we're trying to teach the students here is that it's not all about you. All about you is all about us. Like, you are important. Don't get me wrong. You are very important. Somebody ought to be looking at you like you're looking at somebody else. And it's just that that family structure, right? It's about those relationships and changing it from a me focus to a we focus. And that's kind of what you saw. I mean, did you see him? We wanted 2 weeks. Yeah, that's called, folks, that's called recruit school, right? Anything more than a week, right? 20 weeks, that's recruit school. But we gave them a taste and we made them hungry, right? We fed them, we made them hungry, we made them, they want it. right? They want to desire it. And that success, and it's not necessarily policing or anything, it can be anything out there, but they're hungry for that success, feeling that together, team, winning, that I contributed to something bigger than myself that helps somebody else. Bingo, man. That's the money. You know,
I know one thing that really stuck with me that you talked about this week was adding the extra to the ordinary.
Yeah.
That is one thing that through my channel, the Red Bull 400 that I talked about running up Copper Peak.
Yeah.
I mean, comparing that to Zion, that's kind of how I trained actually, was I ran up the face of Zion. And just doing that with you today and hearing that speech of, you want to be more than ordinary, you just got to take that little bit extra. You got to add that extra.
Just
that's
one more
one
step,
thing
right?
that's really going to stick with me, especially as I take this new leap into the nomad life.
Yeah, and unknown, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the last question I got here is just a simple, fun one. We talked about it earlier. My student staff career here at GCC, it's been 8 years, and I could not ask for a better group to end with.
Oh, that's humbling. Thank you.
I'm really curious, is there a memory or anything in particular this week that is just a favorite story of yours?
Yeah, there's several actually. And what I mean by that is that there's several because we're sitting here in the common area, and everybody's around, all the students and the staff, and then the karaoke thing starts.
Yep.
You know, the karaoke thing, when in karaoke, we have there's a setup here for a karaoke on the TV, and everybody joined in, and we're just sitting here and we're watching this growth thing, and that's how we knew we were winning. That's how we knew we were winning, is how they bonded, and then today at the graduation, you know, you knew it was good. The run, I mean, it's just that's my thing, right?
Yep.
That's my I love that. The push-ups I love, but at graduation when you see them all going, we're not together tomorrow. That longing feeling, and you know you did something special, right? Is that they're gonna go home now. They're lifelong friends. They're on their text groups or Twitter groups or whatever it is they communicate with. You know, that's how you bond a community. And as you look at them, the successes, right? Amy, Trooper Bellinger was talking about a young man today who was out, and we had him doing team driving and driving around in the patrol car. We call our patrol cars the Goose, right? The Blue Goose. But he's driving around, and as he would do something good, he'd giggle. You know, like he was self-appreciating the success that he had. And you're like, yeah, that's self-affirming. That's what we're talking about. Is remember, you can do anything you want, right? Don't let that guy in the mirror or that gal in the mirror beat you, because they will. They'll try to. You know, the three types of people in the world: those that want to be you, those that can't be you, those that wish they were you. And you know, don't be one of those. Be you. Don't rely on anybody else for your self-esteem or your self-affirmation or your self-worth. You can do anything that you want to do, that you put your mind to, and that you're willing to go one more step for. That 41%, you know, just that one more step, right? The extra, just you know, just the extra. It's an ordinary person doing that little extra to be successful. And so watching the karaoke, and trust me, we weren't winning any Grammy Awards on that, or any music awards, because they were terrible, you know, but we laughed and we giggled, and they had a great time, and it was all of them as one family. And if anything I could say, that's what these career academies do, is they bring people together and build relationships, break down walls and misinformation, and since that's a buzzword, but misunderstandings, that we got away from building those relationships so that we have good, healthy, constructive, just presence with one another, and those relationships are solid. So that was really one of my favorite moments, is just the way that all of these young people bonded and were successful because of it.
Awesome. Is there anything else before we kind of wrap it up that you would like to share, I know you do this every summer, and
Yeah.
I heard it's free.
It is free. This is
So
100% free that we put on with the college. You know, we build those community partnerships with the college, with our community partners through the Michigan State Police, through the Grant Community Service Section, and our community service troopers, and our recruiting and selection section. You know, we all come together as one because we know it's going to benefit not only our agency, but the local agencies, the college, right?
Mhm.
Because a huge part of what we do is with the college. And most of all, with the students out there, that is the wonderful thing about it is it opens the doors to so many opportunities for these young people and old alike, but for the young people to explore who they want to be,
Mhm.
you know, and I'm going to say this loosely, when they grow up, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I've fully found that yet, but
Mhm.
that's the only thing, and it's been an honor. Kobe, you've been a great host. GCC's been a great host college. The hospitality is bar none, first class, and the people here are they're wonderful people.
Thank you. And thank you for sitting down again. Like I said, I think it's really important, and I'll be the first to say. I mean, I have family that are policemen, so you know, again, there's stuff that I'm not super anti against,
Yeah.
but there are things too that the media shares, and it kind of makes me a little bit of a skeptic as well. So it's nice to sit down and have these conversations, and also be able to shed a little bit of light on it for others as well.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to build this, and this is how you change things. This is how you dispel rumors and
Exactly.
you get those out there. You have these conversations, you build these relationships, and you get all that stuff straightened out. You know, you get all that stuff straightened out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. It was an honor. It really was. Appreciate it.